Hey all, Toves here, Wetlands Animal Planet Zoo, and welcome back to Tiguidou Zoo. So it is an exciting week. DLC week is always the best of times in Planet Zoo world. So we have just had the arrival of the Wetlands Animal Pack. I have to say a big shout out and thank you to Frontier for giving me early access. So I have been beavering away. As ever, I'm a bit late. I'm always a little bit late to the party. But yeah, I've been beavering away in Tiguidou, working on what you will have seen from the title and thumbnail is going to be a small-clawed otter habitat. Really enjoying this pack so far. From what I've looked at, all the animals are super cool. I think they really fit well to both Tiguidou and Zimba. Tiguidou, if you've seen this before, is my kind of small-scale Canadian set zoo, so it's all set in kind of rural Canada, and yeah, it's got a bit of a kind of almost like a petting zoo vibe, a bit like a sort of animal sanctuary vibe, so all quite small animals, no elephants and tigers and lions in this one, but yeah, kind of little small stuff, and we've got a lot of little detailed areas so far. We're working just alongside the Japanese macaques here. And it's been a while. I took a bit of a break from Tiguidou. But yeah, this DLC just definitely felt like it kind of... Yeah, it's the little moments in Planet Zoo that trigger your creative inspiration. And yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I've been, as you'll have noticed, I've been playing Zimba a little bit, doing a little bit more work in Zimba. And I think some of the animals, again, will fit quite well to Zimba. I think the water buffalo and the crane in particular would be great additions to Zimba, but this one I think fits particularly well to Tiguidou. So we're working in like several different little areas here, and actually I have to say, I think I always say this in general, but do stick around for the real-time tour at the end, because actually there's a lot of stuff. I went back and I've completed a lot of little details that you won't see in the speed build, so I've changed the steps out back there, I've just done a whole load of little gap filling areas, so it's feeling really pretty rounded out now. One thing I try and do with these animals, and something I've focused on quite a lot in Tiguidou, is that you'll notice all of the habitats are fairly small. Now I try and make an effort to take into consideration the Zoopedia limitations that it tells you to consider, but I'm playing in sandbox mode and I don't worry about it too much. But one little trick to get around having your habitats feel more realistic. Generally, I think the habitats in zoos are smaller than what we get told they should be from the Zoopedia. So when you try and place something down like an otter or a meerkat or something that's really small, in a habitat that's like 500 meters square, it just feels so lost and dwarfed. So what I've tended to do, I don't think I've talked about this before, but it's quite a theme in Tiguidou, is that I tend to have the animals have several small areas. So when the guests are experiencing them, they're experiencing them in one particular small area. So that makes it feel a little bit more cozy. And look at that space, that little pool there. It's obviously quite small. It doesn't feel, to be honest, it doesn't feel unrealistically small that by itself. But yeah, I think you end up just creating that kind of slightly more cozy experience if you end up with multiple areas. So you'll see as we go through this episode, certainly as we do the real-time tour, that these otters have, I think there's like 4 areas, 3 of which are guest facing and then 1 of which is behind the scenes. So this first spot here, sitting alongside the Japanese macaques, is this little shaded pool area. I have to say, one thing I might go back and change at a later date is that I always kind of forget that they kind of, they have this limitation on how deep or how the depth that's required for them to do the deep dive mechanic, and I think I probably need to go back and deepen this, or just accept that they're not going to spend that much time diving down in the pool. They do tend to hang around a little bit, You see me in this section just filling in this gap now. So I've got one of the, as you see, that's kind of one of the little views into the habitat that the guests can take. And then I've got this gap, and there's going to be a building alongside this. So I have this gap here, and I wanted to fill it in. And I'm still kind of waiting and hoping and praying that at some point Frontier give us give us some smaller exhibit boxes, because I'm desperately crying out for it. And this is the second time that I've done this. In fact, I think this is actually maybe the third time that I've done this, is that I'm just creating my own little implied exhibit box. I'm generally not a fan of having to do this. I would much rather have the exhibit animals in there. But the scale of a 4x4 box just does not work for Tiguidou anywhere in Tiguidou. And I don't think personally it works in many places. And there's a number of things that you kind of think they could do with that. Even just having them be, having them be half the size would be amazing. But I feel like they could be even a quarter of the size. So yeah, just filling in this little implied space. Basically, this is just a space filler. Putting some picture backgrounds in there. Something I've been doing a little bit recently is just playing around with how much more rich things look when you add a background in it. So this is the second section. This is where we jump into kind of the main building area. So I'm going to probably, I think I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm probably going to do like a building tips and tricks video. Do let me know if that's something you think you'd be interested in the comments, guys. But this is one of those things you will have seen me do a bunch of times, and it's something that you don't see a lot of content creators do, but a lot of people do this. You just don't see this get shown that often. But it's effectively it's like creating your own custom sets. So I want a custom texture here. I want this building to be built out of pieces that I'm building myself. I want them to be entirely custom, but I don't want to have to place every individual piece. So what I'm doing here is effectively creating my own little set. So you can see I've created a wall texture. I've got a half wall, and then I've got a stone version. And here I am now creating a window piece and a window section. And the reason why I've got that mud pillar attached is because none of these pieces on their own have a grid. But if I can keep all of these pieces together on a grid, then when I actually want to assemble this together, effectively it's just like, I keep saying effectively, but it's effectively just like building blocks that you've got in the game. So you'll see me do this in a second. But it takes a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. It takes quite a bit of work getting it done up front. Building this set out takes a bit of fiddling and a bit of finagling. But it is a way of allowing you to create your own little custom designs and custom look and feels that you can actually then reuse. This one I think is my favourite so far, and I think the result that I end up is pretty good. So I think this is probably one that's going to occur again as we go through further episodes of Tiguidou. So yeah, there's a door, there's a window set. Again, as you see, there's a couple of different variations of things. And the key is keep it all on that same grid, and then you'll be able to just kind of, mix and match the pieces you want together. So in this one I've got a single door, I end up with some double doors, I end up with some doors that are open, all of that sort of thing. And then obviously when I've finished using this for this building, then I can blueprint this set and I can drop that down again and use it again at some other point. So yeah, as I said, I probably will try and explain that all a little bit better in a tips and tricks video that I'll do at some point hopefully not in the far future. But yeah, so I feel like we're getting pretty close. We're on episode 17. I think it's something like 8 or 9 months that I've been working with Tiguidou on and off. It's still probably my favourite project. I have to say, it's probably the thing that I'm proud of the most. I do enjoy Zimba, but I feel like this has just got an aesthetic that I think I prefer. But yeah, I think we're pretty much, by the end of this episode, maybe the next episode, by the time we get to the next episode, I think we'll be about halfway through. If not, maybe a little bit more. And I'm considering actually releasing it to the workshop at that stage. Again, do let me know, guys, if you're keen to see it on the workshop, if you're keen to have a wander around. I know quite often people like having a wander around. It's one of those things, actually, when you do highly detailed builds, it's quite tricky to show everything. And there's a lot of stuff that, as I said, I'm not showing in the speed build. and there's a lot of stuff that just when we walk around, it's kind of difficult for me to cover everything. And I'm one of those people that the way I play Planet Zoo is I'm a bit of a tinkerer. So I'll tend to do something and I'll tend to go back to it at least 2 or 3 or 4, 5 or 6 times sometimes. And what I find from that is that iterative process actually just increases the quality. And when something doesn't kind of feel right, it's usually because you can do more with it. That's what I've found. Anyway, so getting back to the build. So we're working now, again, lots of work involved in doing this up front, but I'm creating the custom roof pieces that go alongside my custom wall pieces. You can have a mixture of the two. Obviously, sometimes I've done custom wall pieces but kept the in-game or the normal roof pieces. That can be a way of simplifying things, but you're then limited by the roof design. You're a little bit more of a struggle to get a custom roof. So now we start to actually put it all together. This is where we've done all that work up front, and now we start to assemble it. Oh, I've got to create a window first. So I actually did. Yeah, that was actually there were several times that I constructed this building. And one thing I think came up in conversation with someone a little while ago in the comments section, but yeah, really big thing to consider when you're building anything that's got an indoor space is the light. So considering the way that you light it, both with the electrical lights that we get in the game, but also natural light. And natural light in a space can make such a difference. And hopefully you'll see that when I start to assemble this together and when you see the final result, that how much of a difference that natural light makes. Again, more work up front, but once you've got those pieces together, then it starts to come together. So because it's all kept on the grid here, this might look a bit complicated, but you'll see me look, it's not, they're all going together nicely. They're all slotting together nicely. And it's that, just the planning up front gives me the option to do that. Just having assembled these pieces in the right way, assembled these pieces using the grid, gives me the flexibility. And you might find some little things you still need to fiddle with. You might find some little corrections you still need to make, but it's a lot easier than starting from scratch. So you'll see, actually, I think there's a little correction just here that I'm like, okay, let's just change that slightly, change that window line. Looks a little bit wrong. Yeah, and so this building ends up, okay, we're working on the inside space now, and I broke a bit of a rule here because often I would say, I think quite often you see people saying they're building tips and tricks videos that you should work on the inside of the building before you put the roof on it. Now that works in some cases, but it often means you just end up with kind of the walls and the roofs not really having anything to do with each other. So I kind of broke that rule here. Because I wanted it to be quite an organic, you'll kind of see this in a second, but I wanted it to be quite an organic space and feel like it was kind of, the habitat was all kind of part of the same, you're effectively the guests are kind of inside the habitat with the animals. So this is the second of my spaces, and you see there's a little kind of water channel there. So the animals can actually swim out from the other side in and come into this internal space, and they swim through somewhere that the guests can see. So I have actually, weirdly, at this point, I've got like a whole, I built this whole internal section, and I've still got half the building missing, but at this point I've got the roof line largely worked out. And because I want the roof line, see these pieces that are coming up from the habitat up to the roof, I want that all kind of to mesh together nicely. So as I said, I needed to have the roof in place there. This is somewhere you see the animals can get in and out of it. I actually played around with the platypus just for a little while to see if the platypus could get inside, so you can see him running in and out as well. But yeah, I played around with this for a little while. Again, the collisions are a little bit of a challenge. It's one of those things that's always a bit of frustration, that you'll find that some tiny little thing you'll do will mean that they can't get quite to everywhere. But I'm glad that they can still get to that little bedding section. So adding a load of details in. Again, I just wanted this to feel rich. In fact, there's so much more in here. I've put all the education boards in and all that sort of thing. Again, you'll see that all in the real-time tour. Yeah, I wanted it to feel like it's all kind of meshed in together. I haven't played around with the otters, the large otters. Didn't use them in the previous DLC. But I'm super glad to have these new ones. These new ones are so nice and small and just kind of, again, feel like they're a kind of low budget animal. Although obviously we're doing a fairly big build for them here. So yeah, finishing the roof off now. Obviously all of this looks way more simple when you do it in the speed build because it's all cut down nicely and it all looks super simple. And there's quite a bit of manual correction in some of these things, but not too bad. It's largely, as I said, it's a lot more simple to have it all that you've got your own custom build pieces. And then I made the decision to put this big glass, have this big glass wall. So you can see I've got skylights up there. But we're overlooking the fallow deer and the creek there, the brook that's running down the hill. So I thought it'd be lovely just to kind of blend this in and have the guests be able to look down into that out of the building and into over across to the fallow deers there. So next section. So again, as I said, this is all about both having kind of some realistic, practical sense for the fact that the keepers can separate the animals into different areas, but also is a way of getting around that, giving them a reasonable amount of space without it feeling too empty and big. So doing this kind of numerous little cozy spaces. So this is their little bit more low budget, a little bit more simplified dry space, and then I'm opening up this wall so that I can get an internal space going as well. So they have a little backstage area, and then I put some doors on this at some point. So we're coming pretty much up to the end of the speed build. As I said, do stick around, guys, because there's loads and loads that I haven't covered in here. And I think you'll be pleased to see some of the... Yeah, I certainly was pleased to see some of the things feeling like they're finishing off. Feeling like I really feel like we've come into a point with this. So I'm going to leave you with the last kind of 30 seconds of the speed build or something, guys. And then I will join you again momentarily for the real-time tour. Right, welcome back, peeps. So we are starting up at the top, up here. So we're up by the top section of the meerkat, just inside the entrance. Because there's quite a few different new things, as I said. So we're going to make our way down using this new explore camera mode, which is super handy for doing tours and things. So you'll see some little boarding here. That's all stuff that's kind of in progress. That should be coming in the next episode, and that's definitely going to be something that kind of rounds it all out, this first section, quite a lot. So there's the first kind of bits you're seeing new. So that pathway is now finished off, and you'll see I've also changed out all the staircase. So I kind of wasn't really happy with this staircase from before. Felt like I could do a better job of it, so it's all a bit new now. And then we've got a path. We always had this path leading down this way. So that gives you an option to go round there. You can see the new building there. Or you can go down the stairs. So we're going to go down the stairs. We'll make our way round. Going to make our way round past the macaques again. So we'll go take this right turn. Scoot on down here past the prairie dogs. Oh, right on cue. I also changed a couple of little bits in here. So they've got because we've got the new burrows now, so the smaller burrow is in there and they use that. It's pretty cool. Can only just about squeeze one in there and you can see them. Oh look, there's a dude. I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the frame rate of these videos, I don't know if that's deliberate. The frame rate of these videos seems to be really super slow. But he looked like he was looking at the camera there for a second and then we suddenly caught him. So let's head on round past the macaques. Got any macaques in there today? Yeah, they're obviously in the lower section. Hopefully they're all inside and not escaping. Weird. Why did that happen? They passed the Arctic foxes. And we won't go through there, but obviously that's all the tundra section in there for the foxes. Oh, yeah, the old glitcheroo. Yeah, and then so we've got another boarded up section there with a digger, but you can see that as we come around here, we've got all of this is kind of finished off now. So we'll come round under the tunnels, and this is where we get our first view of the otters. So we have one hanging out there in the pool. Nice. As I said, it's pretty small. It's a pretty cosy little nook, but I'm really happy with the way it came out. Occasionally they do, so they can get up here along this back ridge here, and they can get up here. I've never seen them do that yet though. And they've got a drain and a fish feeder and things. And then yeah, just some little interest. So like a little canopy that's given them a shady spot, and a waterfall sort of thing going on there. Oh, hello, dude. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Making yourself look pretty. It's like he's having a little shower in there. What a legend. So let's go inside then. So yeah, this is my little kind of implied terrapin tank. Just kind of in that little gap there. As I said, just to kind of give it a bit of fill. And I think what I'll do is, if we do ever get smaller tanks, I'll probably just replace that. Because it would obviously be good to have a real one. Actually, something I probably need to remember to do is put a vista point or something targeting that. There's no guests actually interact with it. So there will be... this building continues around there, and that's blocked off. You'll see as we go inside that you can't get that way. So let's poop our head inside. Oh, we got otters in. Everybody's been so cooperative today. Look at that. So we've got otters hanging out in this little indoor section. And you can see one's just swum off round there. So yeah, they can swim round back out to the back. We'll go round the back eventually. But yeah, just kind of wanted this to feel kind of lush and nice and warm, sort of tropically feeling in here. I think it turned out really good. As I said, it's a lot of work getting those building pieces, custom building pieces, all created in the first place. But once you've got them done, it really does make a difference. It just feels so much more interesting, so much richer. I made some new education boards. I'm actually considering going through and replacing all the education boards I've got with this sort of style. The more I've spent and the more I've looked at the ones that I've got, the less happy I am with them. So I feel like it kind of works better when you've got that style and not the sort of photographic style. I don't know. Yeah, so we've got lots of natural light in here. So we've got lots of these skylights. Let's make our way round a little bit. You can see there'll be another turn that way then, so there'll be another exhibit over that way. So yeah, and then you've got kind of a few little views into that, and then you've got like another little section back here that they play in. And then you've got a view down the kind of channel to see them swimming in and out, which is perfectly on time. Thank you very much again, my little friends. It's like they know I'm recording. Yeah, not got a load of space in there, but it kind of, again, as I said, it's all about having little cozy spaces, so it feels like you're making the most of the areas. It's quite a long way short of the amount of space they're supposed to have, but I kind of like the fact that it's got these cozy little sections. And then we've got some bullfrogs in here somewhere. Quite sure where exactly. Oh, there's one back there hanging out. Again, I really like these, but they could do with being a lot smaller. I'd love to have like round ones. And then we've got the newts in there as well. These are super hard to see, actually. Quite a few of them in there as well, but it tends to be that you have to kind of max out the number of... Oh, there's one. In fact, there's a couple down there. Yeah, I mean, that's so small compared to the size of the box. I think one of the things that would be really handy is even just to lose some of this vertical height. Maybe the 4 meters wide is okay, but just having all of this excess vertical height is what makes it really difficult to use. Because I do love I love the exhibit animals. I love what they give you, and it feels like such a kind of a missed opportunity. But they actually pathing around in there. I don't usually animate that much, but that one seems like it's animating around quite a lot. Tends to be a lot of the exhibit animals just kind of you see them sitting. Oh, there's one up there as well. Did I just see one up there? Ooh, yeah, there's one in the weeds there. It looks like he's kind of... Oh, he's like swimming on the surface somehow. Cool, okay. Let's not look at that too closely. So yeah, a bit more education. There's do around this way, and then yeah, as you can see, this is looking out onto the deer in the background there. So I just kind of made this all a bit, developed this all a bit more kind of green and nice. And I think this big glass wall, having this big glass wall, just so nicely spills all the extra light in. And as I said, I went back several times and actually played around with the configuration of the roof lights to make sure I had enough light spilling down into it. So let's carry on, and we come up this side path now. Oh, just a quick point on this as well, because this came up in my Discord this week, is that some people were talking about scaling. Someone was asked about scaling, how you get scaling right. And this is a little trick that I often use. Maybe you saw me do this in the speed build, but I will often use a door. So create a door and then scale the building off of that door. I wanted this one to feel like there wasn't an enormous amount of head height between when you came through the door and then this kind of immediate impact, because I wanted it to feel cozy as you came through, but then the building kind of elevates up. It's still not a tall building at all, and I think that's probably only like a 3 meter high apex there. But yeah, you've got to really consider how scale affects your overall kind of feel of a build and things. So anyway, so let's carry on up this side path. So as you see, there's the stream. Hopefully this is all kind of coming together in context now. And there's the stream and the associated frame lag that you get from that. Little slope up the side here. And then we come back round towards the entrance. There's that slope I showed you up towards the steps. And then this is the little side section that they have. They tend to hang out in here a reasonable amount. Again, it's another little area they've got. So as I said, they've got this inside section here, which is pretty simple. Little kind of area that you can shut off as the keepers. So implied keeper door in the side there, and these little hatches that they can be closed in. But yeah, the idea being that in the night or wherever, the keepers can close them into that inner section, and they've just got a little like pool and things in there. And then yeah, just like a little bit more vegetation, a bit more lush. Obviously, the other side there where the pool is all a little bit more. I've just noticed some of the Z fighting going on here. Let's see if we can fix that. This is the new thing that you can do in this camera mode, I think, is that you can actually interact with stuff. Let's just give that a little adjust. So if you don't know this is a kind of a bit of a thing with the game, that if you have two things sitting in the same space, then they'll do that kind of like slightly little glitchy texturing thing. See, that's like flashing there. Still doing it. See if we can fix that quickly. It tends to be that you just kind of move things, but that's just a weird thing that's going on. I'll have to see if I can fix that off camera. control and let's come on round. So yeah, there'll be, as you can imagine, once this section here is filled in, which I think will be in the next episode, then this will all be pulled together much more in context. Let's go through the gate here. Hopefully we can get through this all without ending up on the roof. Yeah, and so they've got this just little backstage section for them. Oh, the babies are so cute. Look at the little baby otter. Oh, so cute. And then yeah, they kind of like going through this little side access again. That could be closed down. That's them swimming around to that bit. The trick to getting them to move around these different sections is to have different things in different areas. So make sure you're using, an enrichment item exists in one place, or a bedding item or something like that. So that encourages them to move around a bit. So yeah, it feels like it's really coming together now, guys. It really does. I think it's feels like it's got really we're getting close to being first stage finished. I think once this is up, once these two new sections that are over being built on, yeah, once that's all finished, then we are well and truly on our way to finishing, I think, at least the first half of this. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Dave. Go check out one of these other videos, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.